Oh, Hierarch, is this how you spend your free time? No wonder these missions of yours take so very, very long.
Thanks for all the responses to the Amon video. It was a lot less divisive than the Kerrigan one. I think the main issue was actually sound.
Sound bad, audio mixing bad. Work on balancing sound.
Destroyed my ears.
Silence! I'll hear no more of your balance, boy. Well, all seriousness, I will work on the sound. Anywho, on to the poll results. Man, you guys never fail to disappoint me.
What is wrong with you?
I hoped Donnie would be a clear winner. There's been dark times in my life lately, so I wanted to make a light-hearted video about the greatest reporter to ever live. But Pi, Donnie's just a meme. Silence, heretic! I hoped I could have some fun here, you know. Throw in a ton of memes with some analysis. But apparently you maniacs hate fun too. Fine, let there be war. Alarak is widely regarded as the greatest character in Legacy of the Void. I agree. But I'm also just a dude giving his opinions. If you hate Alarak with a passion or think he's overrated, feel free to write a novel in the comments. I might leave you a Goodreads review. I'm mostly gonna ignore the books because this is a gaming channel, not a book club. Also, Alarak only really shows up in the Ascension short story. It's a fun read, but I won't really touch on it. Check it out for yourself if you want.
Touch.
Don't touch.
Touch.
Don't touch.
And now it only hurts when you touch it.
Touch.
Do I have to follow you all day?
Before we talk about the big man himself, it's important to look at the Taldarim. As opposed to the short Darim, they technically show up in the books, but it's apparently a different group, so it doesn't really matter. The game Taldarim first show up guarding the artifact pieces for their gods. They're led by Nyan, or Taldarim Executor, who's super big on serving the Xel'Naga and protecting his magic rocks.
We will pursue you to the end of the universe.
I'll chase you to the ends of the earth!
While he's initially willing to let Raynor leave Belshir with a warning, he mobilizes when it's clear the humans are there to pass gas. The Taldarim and Wings of Liberty use pretty much the same units as the Daylom and lack the special skins and variants that are present in later iterations. Ultimately, their main role is to give Raynor a Protoss enemy to beat up. Serviceable, but not super interesting. They next show up on Skyger, greener and meaner.
Lay waste to these abominations!
Serving as Narud's elite forces, they try and fail to defend the temples from Stukov. At the time of Heart of the Swarm's release, it was unclear whether this was the same group in Wings or yet another gang calling themselves the Chosen. Assuming they were the same group from Wings, it raised the question of why the Taldarim, servants of Amon, opposed Raynor, who was sent by Narud, another servant of Amon, to get the magic rocks meant to resurrect Amon, the god that the Taldarim served. Thankfully, your boy Alarak clears up this little inconsistency in Legacy of the Void with an easy-to-miss voice line if you don't click him enough times.
There are fates worse than death, you know. I could have you extract Terrazine until you lose your mind like that fool Nyan.
Apparently the leader was high. I can't tell if this is funny or dumb. Probably both. In fairness, Taldarim society is based on obeying the strong without question, so even if the head honcho was tripping balls, his underlings probably wouldn't question it. Regardless, the Taldarim in the first two-thirds of the trilogy are pretty lacking in characterization, and are mostly there to be a Protoss foe to fight. We obviously can't have Raynor fighting his old buddies, and getting the Daylom involved in Heart of the Swarm would make everything complicated. So here, kill these random cultists. Thankfully, Legacy of the Void would like a word. The Taldarim finally get unique red-black spiky skins to play with. They even get unique units and a homeworld to boot. They get an actual leader, though he isn't super important overall. But perhaps the greatest addition to the faction is the main man himself, Alarak.
How shall you serve me?
At last we get to our glorious High Lord. Alarak first appears on Glacius with orders to destroy the technology vault. Rather than immediately wipe out the Daylom intruders, he offers us a chance to leave the system.
Use your time to withdraw from the system, or remain here and watch your forces burn to ash.
Almost as if he wants us to succeed. Ultimately, the Daylom win out, and Artanis makes off with Robo Phoenix. Alarak gives him a backhanded compliment and hints at a future meeting.
You are not as weak as you appear, Artanis.
Already from his introduction, we can see that Alarak is no mere cultist spouting threats. He's civil but blunt, and hints at ambitions beyond serving Amon. Alarak next shows up at Ulnar, ambushing Vorazun on the Spear of Adun. The matriarch gives it her best shot, but the First Ascendant cannot be stopped. But despite having her dead to rights, he reveals Amon's trap for Artanis and offers to help her in exchange for the Dalam's aid.
You think us fools?
Yes, but that is irrelevant.
Vorazun is understandably skeptical, but Alarak doesn't need her to believe him. He doesn't even need her to release him. He just needs her help. After Artanis escapes Amon's trap, the two meet for the first time.
I had expected so much more.
And thus begins perhaps my favorite friendship in this entire series. One of the reasons I love Alarak so much is because he works so well with the protagonist Artanis. He's someone who unifies and works with who he's got. Put Alarak beside him and we see the two foils, foiling each other. The honorable, diplomatic, wonderbred Artanis synergizes with the conniving, brutal, peanut butter Alarak. I don't know, I'm not a chef. Point is, they'll never see eye to eye on things, but they'll stand together when push comes to shove. It is also one of my favorite scenes because it's probably the most vulnerable moment from Alarak.
You do not see through the agony of knowing all you believed in is a lie, and that your only solace is found in the destruction of your betrayer.
Beneath his cocky, power-hungry self, there does seem to be genuine pain from knowing that the cause he served was a lie. Now, it could be a front to get sympathy from Artanis, totally in character, but he also never takes this kind of tone again. It's all snark from here.
Oh, your ship is too bright, it pains my eyes.
Another reason Alarak is great: exploration. He gives us a chance to really look into the mindset of the Chosen, such as their chain of ascension, how they handle diplomacy, and how you get promoted. In previous games, the Protoss always had an emphasis on honor, nobility, and giant lasers. Their entire story was about overcoming old prejudices and changing for the better. But with Alarak and the Taldarim, the emphasis shifts to violence, pragmatism, and more giant lasers. They don't care about compassion or unity. If it gets the job done, it gets the job done. On Slain, Alarak reveals the Death Fleet, a redder counterpart to the Golden Armada. While they could fight them, the smarter option is to seize power through ritual combat. Rakshir allows Taldarim warriors to rise through the ranks by killing those above them. As First Ascendant, Alarak can become High Lord of his people if he beats Malash. Before the duel, he has us deal with several Guardians while enjoying Terrazine.
Oh, do you sense it? Terrazine.
Steps of the Right is a tough mission. Terrazine flows at regular intervals, allowing Amon's forces to manifest and attack. Thankfully, Void Rays. After beating the Guardians, Alarak reveals that killing his fellow Ascendants wasn't part of the ritual.
But these traitors would have aided Malash in it, and I wish to see them die.
Artanis is understandably pissed that we spent 30 minutes doing a side quest, but Alarak points out that their deaths would make both Rakshir and leading the Taldarim easier in the long run. Rohana May thinks he lacks finesse, but your boy plans ahead. In the lead-up to Rakshir, Alarak echoes Amon's arrogance and ambition, which Artanis warns him against.
From my experience, overconfidence is your opponent's greatest ally.
Spoken as one who welcomes defeat.
Bro really goes, nah, I'd win. While things work out for him here, just wait until Covert Ops. Alarak defers from Amon because he's still willing to compromise to get what he wants. He'll still complain if Artanis goes to Endion or Revanskar before Slain.
This errand of yours has been a waste of our time.
But otherwise, he'll wait patiently until the time comes. Also, he's got style. In Rakshir, Alarak and Malash must face each other in battle. No one can directly intervene, but the obvious loophole is that your supporters can still, cheer you on psionically. And while most Taldarim support Malash, there's no rules against bringing in outsiders. Since most Rakshirs are just Taldarim beating each other up, no one figured that Alarak would drag their mortal enemies into the fight. As their power flows into him, Alarak gets even more baked.
Yes, your psionic power courses through me. Move forward, slaves. Kill all who aid Malash.
And we need more solo, right? So just wait there, Alarak. Despite the hybrid backing Malash, the gang eventually pushes the duel to the High Lord's pit. Alarak fires his boss, quite literally, and claims the title High Lord. He announces Amon's betrayal and removes the Chosen from the war. Ironically, even if Alarak wasn't telling the truth, it wouldn't really matter. For the Taldarim, the truth about Amon is irrelevant. Sure, the knowledge that he betrays them fuels their anger, but ultimately, Alarak could say anything he wants about Amon.
He poisoned our water supply, burned our crops, and delivered a plague unto our houses!
The only truth that matters is the High Lords. Whereas the Templar uphold honor and integrity, the Taldarim hold strength as their highest ideal. Even the prospect of betrayal doesn't shake Alarak. It's expected. When everyone in your world is a backstabbing jerk, there's no such thing as treachery, only promotions. Of course, becoming High Lord is only the start of Alarak's ambitions, and while he messes with Artanis a bit, the Hierarch points out the obvious. The Taldarim still need his help to get revenge on Amon.
Let us say that for now, we have struck another bargain.
But despite working alongside the heroes, Alarak never loses his pride or callousness. He advises Artanis to use Talendar as a puppet to control the Purifiers, while dismissing the idea of saving Mobius Core from the hybrid.
No, Artanis. Extermination was the only course. The hybrid leave nothing to save.
Unlike the Hierarch, Alarak isn't an idealist. He doesn't have time to apologize to robot clones or blow up hybrid labs. He just wants revenge. But he's not without reason. He could very easily go behind our back and break his deal to do his own thing. But he doesn't. He's smart, and perhaps has at least the tiniest shred of honor by assisting in Artanis' plans. When the gang finally make it to Ire, they choose the boring solution of destroying Amon's host form and casting him out of the Kala to free their brothers.
This optimism is dangerous. We could destroy them all from orbit, and not waste such time.
Brutal, but less risky than fighting Amon on the ground. And do I detect a hint of fear in his voice?
It is a folly, and a risk we do not need to incur. We should eradicate the Protoss, burn the entire world, and all on it.
Nevertheless, he still respects Artanis' command and honors his word. As part of the plan, Alarak helps destroy the planet's Psi Matrix to cut off Amon's reinforcements. Here, he gets a chance to bond again with Matriarch Forazun.
How did you lose ire to these animals? Did they heap up and chew apart your starships?
The Zerg were once the greatest threat my people faced. Only a fool would underestimate them.
Well then, I will bow to your experience as the fool.
I not only love these exchanges because they're funny, but also because they help set up Alarak's later defeats in Nova Covert Ops to a similarly inferior race. Really, the only thing I don't like is the giant laser he fires, but at least it's not lightning this time. Anywho, they blow up magic rocks, not these ones, and the Taldarim help destroy Amon's host form. In the final battle, he defends the main entrance to the temple. And he didn't need to do this. Amon's host is gone. Saving the Templar is more for Artanis' benefit than his own. Commendable. Though, true to his character, he will run if things go south. After Amon's defeat, Alarak declines joining the new Daylom faction, though allows some of his warriors to stay if they wish. And that's another reason I love Alarak. He doesn't really change by the end of the story. Sure, he gains respect for the Daylom and lets some of his warriors leave if they want, but ultimately he's still the same arrogant, conniving warlord that he was when we first met him. Some people stick to their convictions. They're sure of who they are. And that's more than can be said for a lot of us, myself included. Granted, Alarak is a terrible person. I would not advise going down his route in real life, but he's entertaining in fiction. And by keeping him in the Taldarim independent, it leaves the door open for future conflicts. Not that we'll ever get a Starcraft 3 at this point. It's probably for the best.
I do not take kindly to betrayal, Terran. You've made a powerful enemy today.
So have you.
Have I now? For creatures with such short lifespans, you Terrans are always so eager to die.
Sorry, wrong game. Given that the first mission pack set up a conspiracy with terrorists and feral Zerg, it seemed unlikely that the Protoss would appear in any capacity for this campaign. I was wrong. On Verdona, Nova attempts to stop the Zerg attack while upstaging the Defenders, only for the familiar red and black Death Fleet to descend from the heavens to completely change things up. Trouble in Paradise is my favorite mission in Covert Ops for this reason. It feels exactly like OG StarCraft, where another army could pop in at any time to screw everyone over. Following Nova's victory over Janara, Alarak meets with her in Rigel.
What do you want?
The same as you. To annihilate the defenders of man.
Turns out that the Defenders attacked the Taldarim, provoking their retaliation. Ever the pragmatist, Alarak decides to make use of the same humans that defeated his forces by having Nova track down the rebel hideout. I loved Alarak's appearance here, not just because it's Alarak, not just because it demonstrates how outclassed Nova is, both size-wise and psionically, but also because it allows the game to explore something we don't see much of in Legacy of the Void, Alarak's relationship with the Terrans.
Hello, monkeys!
As with many Protoss, the High Lord looks down on humans as crude, orifice-flapping primitives. However, even monkeys have their uses. As part of their bargain, Nova gets access to Terrazine to restore her memories, while Alarak sends Janara to calm his forces, and possibly punish her for failing on Verdona. After Nova arrests Davis and stops the Defenders, things seem to be winding down, only for this to happen. True to his word, the High Lords come to collect. And while he's willing to spare Nova, Alarak has no issue putting these annoying civilians to the torch. As long as he gets revenge, these people don't matter. The invasion puts Alarak's arrogance on full display. Despite Nova having things under control, Alarak still invades the planet, leading to a bloody and ultimately pointless battle. Davis escapes, and both the Taldarim and Dominion suffer heavy casualties.
Your hubris is quite entertaining.
Despite his insults, it's clear the High Lord is beaten, and he withdraws. Now, does it suck to see our boy knocked down a peg? Yeah. Did he have it coming? Absolutely. His man was cocky as hell. In Legacy, he was warned numerous times by Artanis that his pride would come back to bite him. The Zerg may have chewed apart their starships, but the apes blew them out of the sky. The only thing that lessens the blow is that Janara was technically the one commanding their army, and we know by now she's not bright.
I guess Alarak won't fight his own battles.
To be fair, Nova, that'd be like criticizing Valerian for having you fight on the front lines. Regardless, in the sequels, the same Terrans who've been dismissed as inferior have shown that they can both match and even surpass the Protoss at times. While Alarak gained respect for the Templar, time will tell whether this extends to humanity. So as you can see, Alarak is awesome because he's entertaining, charismatic, powerful, provides a window into the Taldarim, serves as a good foil for both Artanis and Nova, and has a cool design and abilities. He also shakes up both Legacy of the Void and Nova Covert Ops with his involvement. For the next video, screw democracy. You don't get to choose what I do, because it's already been chosen. The best, the greatest, the goated RTS villains of all time. Or just my favorites, but no one's gonna click on a video with that title. Shoutouts to Gladys Marino, Appy Acra, Jen Tuong, Michael Phillips, and Mike Pierce for supporting the channel. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to destroy everything from orbit the next time you're mildly inconvenienced.